Hi, everybody, and welcome to Books and Baking with Jen Calonita and a very special guest. I am Heather Hebert from Children's Book World, and I am here with Jen as usual. And we have a super exciting guest, someone that Jen and I both absolutely adore. Christina Diaz Gonzalez is here with us today to talk about her new book. Yay! Offside, because what could be more topical right now? The soccer craze is sweeping, well, the world, actually. So I am going to sort of disappear for a little bit, but I want to let everybody know that please put your questions in the chat. If you would like books, they're available on our website. That is also in the chat, as well as the recipe for today's yummy soccer ball cake pops. So I will see you guys in a bit.
Thank you, Heather. I am so excited to be here today. I am Jen. I am the author of The Tailors, which is a series for Babysitter's Club for Swifties, and the Isle of Ever series, which is a pirate mystery adventure. And I'm here with my good friend, Christina Diaz Gonzalez, to celebrate her new book that just came out yesterday, Offside, which Heather is right, with soccer fever or football fever taking over the world. I cannot think of a better timing for this, for you to be here.
I am so incredibly excited to be sharing.
Your sound went away. All of a sudden you're muted, Christina.
Oh,
that's so weird. And we were just chatting. Is it your earbuds?
I can hear.
Oh, I can't. Isn't that weird? Nothing is happening. Oh no. That's so odd. I could hear her until we went live.
Can you hear?
I can hear you, Heather.
I'm taking off my earbuds. I'm seeing if this is going to help.
I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me again? No?
Uh-oh.
Are we?
I think it might be you, Jen. Do you have Christina on mute?
Jen, do you just not want to hear me talk anymore?
No. Do you want me to go out and come back in?
Go out and come back.
Can you hear me?
Let me go out and come back in. You chat.
It's live. We'll just
chat.
Okay. Let's chat.
So you and I can chat.
I absolutely adored this book.
Thank you so much.
And one of the things, and of course, Jen will probably pop right back in my long explanation. One of the things I loved about this book that I just think was so great is the way that you developed the families of each of these characters, that I got to know, like the parents and even the grandparents and the siblings. And so often I think we think in graphic novels that there's no character development, there's no sort of that kind of depth, but there really was. And I just wonder, was it a conscious effort to bring in the families?
It really was, because I wanted there to be some type of reasoning for why the kids are behaving the way they are, because it's much more than just a soccer story. It's a friendship story, a story about, each kid, some of them have this blind ambition, not realizing, that it's more than just you getting ahead. It's a whole community, and life is more than just this one goal. You have to sometimes take a little bit of a step back, and also how your views are shaped sometimes by your parents or your grandparents, and it has that trickle down effect. And now, especially in middle school, you start broadening your horizons and learning about the world, and maybe forming your own opinions, and maybe teaching your parents a thing or two. So I really wanted to bring in all the families to show that diversity of thought, also diversity of families.
Mm-hmm.
Some are, both parents are working night and day almost, and you're almost like a latchkey kid, like back in the 80s, and others have parents who are extremely supportive, others don't. Situations of divorce. I wanted to bring about the whole, maybe not the whole spectrum, but at least a little bit of the spectrum of different families.
Well, you did it, and you did it absolutely brilliantly.
You really did. And I can hear you, so I feel
all right. So, pop out, on with the baking.
I agree so much. I read this over the weekend and I absolutely loved it. And I think what I really loved, what you were saying was, we think of, I was not an athlete as a kid. I was a dancer, but my kids have been athletes. My nieces are big athletes. And I think you think of your teammates as one type of person, right? Because it's the person you spend all this time with on the field, but there's so much going on in their head and a whole life outside of, you know, the sport they're playing. And you did that so perfectly, because getting to see why Nikki and Al in particular were the way they were was just, you know, so I just thought it was so amazing and so interesting to hear their backstories and why they sometimes did the things they did. And you did a great job.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen. I mean, you had a role to play because
Okay, this is the weirdest thing. Heather, you have to stay on, because when Heather leaves, I can't hear you, but when Heather's here, I can hear you. Is that not the weirdest? All right, Heather, you're staying. You're staying.
That is the funniest thing.
So I'm sorry about that, Heather, but you're going to be part of this today. But
I'm loving it.
I love it.
Christina, so, I mean, where did the inspiration come from this room? I know from talking to you as your friend for a long time, I've heard you speak about this before, but did you talk a little bit yet with Heather about your background and your own history with football/soccer?
No. So for me, I didn't grow up as a, soccer player or even a soccer fan. It was when I became a soccer mom. My kids started playing soccer at a young age, and they absolutely loved the sport. And they loved it so much, I ended up becoming not only their soccer mom, like the team mom. And then from there, it just grew to being a team manager. And I was involved with the team for, oh my goodness, over a decade. They went to state championships, they went to nationals, they did all of that. And I really got to see up close and firsthand how soccer really unites these kids who can speak different languages and come from different walks of life and really just, different socioeconomics. And I loved it. And it not only brought the kids together, it also brought the families together, because some of those families, you spend every weekend with them. They become your extended family, at least for a while. And I love that about soccer. And in the back of my mind, when I first became a writer, I just kind of kept falling back to one day there will be a story about a soccer team. I didn't know at the time what it would be until I started writing the graphic novels. And when I wrote Invisible and I could use both languages together, I knew immediately that there would be a soccer book with both English and Spanish in it, because soccer is, loved around the world. And I wanted a book that would, highlight kids who do speak Spanish or are learning English in school and have Spanish be held up, equally with the English, but still have the English reader, read it from cover to cover and not miss a beat because of all the incredible artwork. I will go ahead and say Mari Costa, she is the illustrator, phenomenal. She brought everything I was imagining to reality. And then Lark Pien did the colors, and that just pushed it like into the stratosphere. It's just amazing how the book really just comes to life. The art is the language. So that's one of the things I love about graphic novels. So that's my whole thing about it. But I want to say one thing right now, because Jen mentioned she is my dear friend. She helped with this book when I was brainstorming it. She told me about her niece's experience, because I have two boys. I wanted to hear a little bit more from like the girl's perspective and what she was going through. And, some of those conversations may have kind of filtered into the book.
Oh, that is awesome. Jen's still having a little audio problem, so she's going to pop off and pop back on.
And we're going to start baking. I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
Okay, and I won't leave again. I won't leave. So you were talking about how this is in both English and Spanish. And one of the things that's so great is how it's written is, and I don't know if you worked with Mari with this, about how the text bubbles are different for the different languages, which was such a great cue. Is that
that was something that they came up with. It wasn't really my idea. In Invisible, they also used a little bit of a different thing where the text bubbles were dashes. So this was a takeoff on that. because the kids are often using their phone.
Yeah.
And that's what's doing the translation. They wanted to kind of to differentiate things. But I think they did a phenomenal job. I'm so happy with it. And yeah, like you were saying, like when you see it in the book, it really does, it doesn't take away. So when you can see both languages, whether it's this character right here, Palmer, who speaks both English and Spanish, because he kind of shows it there. He went to a dual language school, so the words kind of come into his brain, and then it's like the steampunk machinery having to translate it. There's a little lag, and then the words can pop out. Or the phone, which is instantaneous. Yeah. It's just different methods of communicating with someone who speaks a different language.
And I won't give away who, but there is a character who over the course of the book decides, I'm going to learn Spanish, so that I can communicate as well. And I loved that. I thought that was a great addition too. So while we keep talking, we are going to be making soccer cake pops. Now, full disclosure, these are absolutely adorable, these soccer cake pops, but they're a little bit hard to get the actual soccer ball shape on the cake pops. This is a cute squishy that Scholastic sent with Christina's copy of Offside, which I love. And so you can see here the difference between what a soccer ball looks like and my first attempt.
And Jen is being very generous when she says, we are making the cake pops, because I am that friend who will sit in the kitchen, hence I am sitting in my kitchen, watching the other friend bake, because I'm just going to sit here and watch Jen create her magic, which, by the way, if viewers don't know, Jen has a book coming out called Practically Magic.
Good tie-in.
Did you see that?
I love it. You're so good. You're so good. Well, I'm cheating today too. I'll be honest with you. I had never made cake pops before we decided to make these. And I watched a lot of videos. I read a lot of recipes. And the traditional way to make a cake pop is to actually bake a cake. And when you bake the cake, instead of using water, you use milk. You want it to be creamier. And then when the cake is cooled and softened, you actually crumble the cake and you put in icing, like store-bought icing, and you form your own cake balls. Now, that's great and good. I was terrified. So what I did was I bought a cake pop mold. And this comes, it's like super, super cool. It's got the little holes in the top. You fill your bottoms up to the top. You put on your lid and you bake it in the oven on 350 for like 20 minutes using cake mix. I just used store-bought cake mix. And so that's how I did them. And I did my test batch. And that's what we're going to do again today. I will say that I followed the box recipe exactly. But what I did change was, instead of water in the recipe, I added the milk to make it a little bit more moist. And I do think it worked. So I'm just using store-bought cake mix. I already made some so that we could use it today. And I will tell you, whether you're going to make a cake or you're going to use the cake mold, it's always easier with something like this. I just use a cookie scoop to scoop it in and make perfect cake balls. And it really is a quick recipe, because you just 20 minutes and you've got your cake balls all good to go. Now, Christina, when you were thinking about this, did you know for a very long time, and forgive me if my sound was out while you were talking about this, how long ago did you start planning this, your follow-up to The Incredible Invisible?
So I started thinking about it probably about 2 months after Invisible came out. So that would have been about 4 years ago.
Wow.
So I started thinking about it. Scholastic wanted another dual language type graphic novel. And immediately I knew that soccer would be a theme. I knew that at the time, I knew that graphic novels take about 3 to 4 years to create. And I was like, in about 4 years, we're going to have the World Cup. So if I'm going to write a soccer book, now is the time. And so I started thinking about it. And I really started writing it probably about 3.5 years ago. And wrote it, and then they found Mari. She was at the time living in Portugal. She's now living in Australia. So we're never in the same time zones. But she was incredible, and she started working on it about, I would say, maybe a year after that. And it's been great ever since.
So for those of us, like I've never done a graphic novel, and there are so many viewers out there and kids out there who I know are interested in graphic novels, would love to create their own graphic novel someday. Could you like kind of walk us through quickly like how something like this works? So do you basically write like a script? Like how do you write up your story, and when, like how do you find the right illustrator?
So for people thinking about writing a graphic novel, and they're thinking, well, I don't even know the first thing about how to do it. I didn't either. When I first came up with the idea of writing Invisible, I had no idea how to do it, especially because I'm not going to be the illustrator. I can't do the drawings like an illustrator would. And so I literally picked up a book. I think it was like one of the For Dummies books, like how to write a graphic novel for dummies. And it kind of explained, and it is like a script. I write it like a script. I imagine what it will look like on a page. So if it's going to be page 42, and I'm thinking, okay, this is page 42 and 43, laying flat on my table. How many panels will be on the left and how many panels will be on the right? And I do put in there, if I think it's going to be 4 panels, I break it down to what will happen in each panel, and I put in the dialogue. So the dialogue I put in doesn't change. Like that is the story. And the number of panels and maybe what happens on that page really won't change too much. But the illustrator will come in and say, oh, Christina thought it was going to be 4 panels. She's wrong. It's going to be 7. And he, whoever is doing it will adjust and do it as they see fit. Or sometimes they'll think, no, this is a full page spread. And they'll combine some of the dialogue into one big panel. So it's really me writing a script with suggestions of how the book will look. And then the illustrator taking that story that's already fully formed and looking at my suggestions and then bringing in their own creativity, their own imagination to really develop it as a graphic novel. That's why we're really co-creators of the book.
I love that. Well, this is what it looks like when you have everything filled. So I have them filled. I try to fill them right to the top. There's like a little lip on the cake pan, like the cake pop mold, and you want to make sure it's closed, and the side is facing up is the one that has the holes in it, like the little air holes. The thing about the cake pop mold is you can't really check to see if these are fully cooked. You kind of have to like hope for the best, or you can stick a toothpick in and just see if it comes out clean. That's what I did last night. And I will say these took about 15 minutes. So I'm going to put these in the oven. But by the
I wish I was there smelling it. I love the smell of like cake batter. Your house right now is going to smell so good.
But the magic of, Alive that we're doing is that I have a batch of cake balls that have already come out. So they come out. You can see the thing about them is they're probably not as round as a true cake ball would be if you were forming it yourself, but they're pretty darn close. Mm-hmm. So sometimes they have a little excess. You can like peel that off on the side. Once they come out, you want to chill them for like a good half hour, get them really cold. And your next step is you're going to actually take lollipop sticks and you're going to insert them in the cake pop. Now, these would easily fall out. So what you do is you use your baking chocolate that you're going to use to cover the cake pops in a bit as your glue. And what I'm going to do is I have some chocolate that I've been melting on the stove. I will tell you, when you're melting chocolate, it's very easy. Like you can do it in the microwave too. I did this on the stove. I just kind of added a pot of water. I put this on top. the thing about the chocolate, and I'm going to do this without burning myself, is sometimes it gets a little thick. And so a little hack with that is just take very little is coconut oil. You take just like a little teaspoon of coconut oil to thin it out. Keep it from getting to like, because if you overcook it in the microwave, and if you are going to like melt your chocolate in the microwave, you should always get your parents' permission before using the stove and also the microwave with this, because you don't want to burn anything. But if you're going to use the microwave, you want to change your power on the microwave to 50%, and you want to microwave the chocolate at 30-second intervals 3 times, or you could do 30, 20, 10, and each time you stir. So I have this melted chocolate right here. I'm going to give it a little stir. What you do is you will stick the end of the chocolate into here, into the chocolate, and then I'm going to insert it only halfway, not all the way through, and it's like glue. Now, when I have these all inserted, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put them back in the fridge, believe it or not, because they need time to set before you actually, will cover them. So,
Jen, is it better to put in the fridge or in the freezer, or does it matter?
I mean, it said fridge, but
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. What would happen to our cake if we put it in the freezer? Would it be?
You're the baker.
This one all the way through. This, I'm not supposed to do that. It's only supposed to be halfway. But you know what? We're going to cover it in chocolate, so it's going to be okay. So, Christina, do you ever find when you're working on a graphic novel, like offside, you have all this dialogue? I tend to be wordy and have to cut back. And I can't imagine with doing a graphic novel how to keep myself really concise and condense my thoughts. Is that a hard part of doing this? Like keeping everything short?
Yeah, it's really difficult because you do have to be very concise because of the size of the word bubble. Mm-hmm. And especially if you are doing dual language, you know that there's going to be a second word bubble with the translation, and you have to have room for all the pictures. And the good thing is that the illustrations do carry a lot of weight. So you don't have to explain the background or the emotions. You can put that in the art notes and the illustrator will understand that you want this character to look angry or sad or hopeful or is staring off into the distance. You can put those in the art notes, and then the reaction from the character might just be, well, and then everything else is being interpreted in the picture. So it is difficult because you have to be aware all the time that you cannot be wordy, but at the same time, you can kind of pass a lot of that off into the artist's job.
And then do you ever tweak things after the fact? Like once you've seen the artist?
Oh, yeah.
You do.
Yeah. Sometimes, even after obviously before the artist gets it, you've gone through rounds of revision and you've made the script the best you can. And then the artist is doing it. And maybe what you thought would be in, 2 panels, they've made it into 5, but that means each panel is smaller. So there's less room for dialogue. And now you have to trim it even more.
Wow. This really is a long process.
Yeah, it is. It is. Unlike these cake pops.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stick these in the fridge. Normally, once you put the sticks in, you would want to let this chill for a good 15 minutes again. Then by the magic, I have some already chilled and ready to go, which when I was doing it while you were talking, I realized in the molds, they actually are a little narrow. And I'm thinking I should have turned them the opposite way. It would have made more of a cone the other way. But this is the tricky part where you're all going to laugh. Now, there's a few things you need when you get to this next part. We are going to dip our cake pops in chocolate. Immediately following, you're going to have to decide how you want to decorate your cake pops. I actually have some fun little sugar crystals. I did gold. I was just thinking winners and everything. I did some gold and white. You can easily dip that on your cake pops. It's definitely easier. Or we wanted ours to look like soccer balls. Now, I agonized over this.
It was such a good idea at first.
So I don't know what's better, and I think it depends on your artistic skill level. I will say that you could get a frosting pen, you could get like a gel pen, like an edible gel pen, and you could draw the soccer shapes on there. They sell black gel pens. Christina and I happened to be on a Zoom last week with our friends, James Ponte and Jasmine Warga, and James' editor was on the call, and she said, we were talking about these cake pops. She said, what about fondant? So yeah. I got black fondant, and what I did was I rolled it out, and I just rolled it out on a piece of parchment. I'm going to try to show you this without losing all my pieces. I rolled it out as thin as I possibly could. Now, that pentagon or that hexagon shape is almost impossible when you're doing something this small. I wound up, you can see them up here. I cut out little triangles. I cut out little diamonds. And I made them as thin as possible because like last night they were way too thick and it just looked worse. We're going to see what happens right now when we do them another way. But what I'm going to do is I have my chocolate. I will say if it's going to take time, like having it on the stove just seems easier. It doesn't, the chocolate won't harden. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over the chocolate again. And I will say that coconut oil has really helped keep it soft. I'm going to give it a good stir. You just want to constantly keep stirring it. And now we're going to attempt this. Now, the last thing you need is you need a piece of styrofoam. If you're somebody who's going to, if you're like cake pops are life, like football is life, like they say on our favorite shows, Christina references without referencing an offside. There's some Ted Lasso in there for Ted Lasso fans. If you're going to be making these a lot, you might want to invest in a cake pop stand. I don't know what my future is in cake pops after this, right? So what I did was I took an old styrofoam cooler. You can just get a piece of styrofoam. This is an old cooler. I had so much trouble. And you want, after you've dipped your cake pops, you want it to be able to stand up and really dry. So what I did was I punched holes in this, and I had them dry like this overnight. So these were my test ones over here. So that's what we're going to really do here as we try this. Should we attempt a soccer ball?
Yes. You know what? That's a very clever idea, though. The cooler idea.
Cooler, right?
Hello? Yeah.
We had traveled, we have a good cooler, but my son goes to school in Alabama, as Christina and Heather know, and we were bringing something back from there in the car, and we didn't have a cooler with ice, and so we grabbed one of these. So when I was looking around the house for styrofoam yesterday, I was like, oh, the cooler can be repurposed. So it's a good thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to show you this. A lot of people say don't spin the chocolate, just like dip it in and pull it out. That didn't really work for me as a cake pop newbie. So what I did was I spun it. And the thing is, you have to work quick. I'm going to try to do this here. This one's giving me trouble already. I'm going to put it down so I can try to really show you. You can like pour the chocolate over it, but you want to keep that shape. So that makes it a little bit hard. Okay. This is
Jen, do you think this is something like kids could do like on a rainy afternoon and they're, coming in over the summer after watching soccer or whatever, or is this too complex?
Maybe if you're working with your parents and you want to just do pretty cake pops, you could do that. I'm going to try some because this isn't a perfect soccer ball shape. So because my stick came right through, but I'll do some pretty glitter right here. And I'm going to stick this in the thing. I think if you were having a party watching the World Cup or soccer or, and it is a rainy day, that's actually a great idea to do that.
Like they could decorate their own,
yes.
The parent might do the chocolate and then pass it almost like when you're decorating Christmas cookies, Easter eggs, or anything like that. Each kid can do their own design, different colored sprinkles.
Yeah.
Like you said, the pens, write their name, whatever they want. Try to make a soccer ball.
We try to make a soccer ball. We did the white chocolate because, we're attempting these soccer balls, but you could do, milk chocolate. Some people do the white chocolate and add food coloring. There are some like suggestions on how to make the food coloring really perfect. Okay, we are going to attempt to add some pre-cut pieces of fondant to this. Let's see how we do here. I feel like I'm holding my breath.
And I feel, you know what, this is truly live, because you could have totally cheated and gotten something made at the store and just brought it down and then brought it up and go, look at the perfection.
Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? I could have. I know so many.
I'm getting the soccer ball vibe.
I am.
I'm getting the soccer ball vibe.
Okay, this one is
Yes.
Yeah.
last night. So
It's
I will
amazing.
say the thinner fondant is definitely the way to go.
Yes.
And the triangles work from a distance. I feel like you get the feel.
I
Right?
think
Absolutely.
absolutely getting the soccer ball vibe right there.
Yeah.
Right
Woo!
there. Woo!
Yeah.
This is so funny. It reminds me of like, and I know you guys have probably been through this with kids when they come home and they tell you, and tomorrow I need something in the shape of a, or it has to be, or I don't know, my daughter's was like, so tomorrow I'm dressing as Jane Goodall. So can you make me something like cupcake monkeys? And I was like,
And you're like, what?
sure, just like that. I'll make, or I remember making like, my son was Abraham Lincoln, and I had to get Hershey bars to cut them out like little tall hats for, all these things.
It's the things you do. But you're both right that if somebody can melt the chocolate for you and you have a parent they're observing, it'd be a really fun thing to decorate the cake pops. Or maybe you could bake the cake with your family. You don't have to get the cake pop mold. And then you could help make the cake pop balls, because it's really dirty, and do something like that. I will say it smells good. And the kids did come by and eat some of my test cake pops last night. They said they were yummy. Although my one son did say, well, they're usually like, a little bit more sticky in the middle and a little bit gooier. And I was like, I know, but we cheated and we used a mold. So it is what it is. So
when you're not using a mold, it's like making a meatball.
Yeah. So it's a little bit harder. My cake pops are not standing perfectly in that little thing. Christina, what else can you tell us? What else can you tell us? We know we can order copies of Offside from Children's Book World, and you can do it right on the Books and Baking page. And you'll be sending book plates with those?
I was going to say, yes. When you order from Children's Book World, you will be getting not only a copy of Offside, but they will have a signed book plate inside. So it's one of the few places that you can get that. So it's always important to support your local bookstores, and especially Children's Book World.
Yeah.
It does so much.
Thank you. So I do have a question. The process is so different that you were describing, writing graphic novel versus writing just a standard, a chapter book. And is the revision process different?
No, actually, it really isn't. So the revision process is very, very similar. For me, my standard, I'm not sure if this is across the board, and Jen can chime in, but I usually get 2 revision letters. The first one is much more global in nature, comments from my editor about character development or certain themes that need to be explored further, or, plot holes, things of that sort. And whether it's a regular novel, traditional chapter book, or a graphic novel, that's usually that first round, like global in nature, much more broad, making sure that everything ties in and everything is as strong as it can be. And then when you get that second letter, that's usually for me when we're getting into more the details of this character, or right here in this particular part of the book, we can explore it a little further, or do we really need this subplot that's going through. Maybe we can cut out a couple of those pages. And it's more almost also like a line edit. In the case of a graphic novel, it becomes much more like, this is great, but it's too wordy. We gotta either break it into more panels or less words or something. And so you're thinking of that at that stage. And then it again, it's like a traditional novel. It goes to the copy editor and they're looking at it. And then instead of just being done in the next phase of the book is when you start seeing those first pass pages where it's already been put into, the format of a book. Mm-hmm. At that point, you relinquish the book to the illustrator. And now they are doing their own work, which I do not know much about, but I know it goes into storyboarding and then the rough sketches and then the line sketches and then the full illustrations. And they're working with the art department. So
do you have a lot of conversations with them, or is it more at that point then it's just separate?
I think it depends on the illustrator. So for Invisible, I really had no input, no real interaction. I handed over my work and she did her work. And then we kind of came together at the very end in case there were any issues. With Offside, Mari wanted me to be a little bit more involved, I think. And so I did get to see a little bit of like the storyboard and the sketches. And I didn't have much to say. Sometimes I might be like, oh, we should maybe do this, or, I was hoping to have a little bit more of this being represented. But she really pretty much nailed it from the get-go. The only thing I had was I didn't realize that neither I think she wasn't that aware of soccer and like the game and some of the rules. And Lark was, but some of the little details they weren't familiar, like simple thing like the goalie. Well, they had the goalie inside the book during the game wearing the same uniform as the players. And I was like, no, the goalie has to be completely different from any other, uniform on the field.
See, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, because they have to stand out for their own players, like who it is and for the ref and everything else. And so it was little things like that that I might make a comment. But I mean, honestly, they're such pros, both Maria and Lark, that they just knew what to do.
Well, it really is true.
Look at that! Look at that soccer ball.
We're getting there.
I feel like we should just go. Look, put it close to the. Put it close. I'm gonna go. Bing. See, and it goes right flying.
How playing.
The best one. So it works. The chocolate's still melting.
Look at that.
It's very cool.
I love it.
I love it too.
It's working, Jen.
It's working. The thinner fondant works, but I do think you could let this harden and do the pen as well. So It's definitely a possibility. Well, Heather, this has been so much fun. I feel like I've learned so much about soccer. I mean, how to write a graphic novel. Christina, I know, but can you tell us what's coming next, or can you give us a little sneak peek or a hint, or leave us on some kind of mystery?
So that's very clever of you, Jen, with this little mystery. I do have a mystery coming out next year, in March 2nd. There will be a new book. It's a chapter book, a novel, traditional novel called Unidentified. It's a mystery about a young boy whose parents own a UFO-themed mini golf park. And in order to save the golf park, he and his friend discover that there might be spies in their hometown, and they come up with a plan to try to catch the spies and claim the reward, only to be shocked and dismayed that all the clues are pointing to his parents being the spies. And so it's all the the problems, and some of it is funny, some of it is not so funny, that ensues from all of that. And that is called Unidentified. And I will say that Unidentified is a mystery, but there's also another mystery coming out that same day. And would you like to say something about that before we vanish?
Just like the gold on this pop. Yes. Isle of Ever 3 comes out on March 2nd. It's the final chapter in the Isle of Ever trilogy. Oh, this chocolate is melting. And it is a beautiful cover. The cover was just revealed today. I love it. We are going to wrap up this mystery in a very fun, exciting way, and I can't wait for people to read it. So,
and say what the title is, because I just said you're going to vanish.
That's right, The Vanishing Isle. So that's it. Time is running out for Benny to figure out how to get everybody off this island and save Captain Kimball. And I won't say more in case you haven't read The Curse Breaker yet, but it's a lot of fun. I'm very excited about it. Very excited.
Amazing. And I just want to let everybody know, again, books are available and the recipe for the cake pops on our website, so childrensbookworld.net. I know coming up next on August Books and Baking is Karina Young Glazer, which is very exciting.
I'm learning to make steamed dumplings by then. I'm going to learn. I've got to talk to her. She's right in the book, so I'm very excited.
So that is going to be very exciting. We hope everybody joins us now. And I just want to remind everybody, summer is the best time to read soccer books, mysteries. We've got it all here. I just want to thank Jen, as always, and Christina for being our super special guest. This was so much fun. We will see you guys next month.
See you next
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.